Hello, everyone. My name is Raya Williams, and my presentation is on Kazakhstan and Andorra. I'm pretty sure I'm going to say a lot of things incorrectly, so I apologize in advance. Okay, so to start, what is freedom of the press? Freedom of the press refers to the media being able to report news and express opinions freely without government censorship or interference. Key indicators of democratic health would come from freedom of the press. So if you have a good freedom of the press, you probably are democratically healthy in government and all that. And it ensures transparency, accountability, and informed citizens. This presentation will compare Andorra with Kazakhstan while also reflecting upon the differences in the US to those two countries. So we'll start with Andorra. Capital of Andorra is Andorra la Vella. So Andorra has a parliamentary system of government that holds free and fair elections. The population is 80,000 people. The location is small landlocked country between France and Spain. And the government, it's principality, which is the shared heads of states, therefore President of France and the Bishop of Urgell. And it's democratic with regular elections. So the press freedom status for Andorra is ranked high on global press freedom indexes. And then all of the parentheses are my sources. There's no government censorship or intimidation of the journalist, and press can operate independently with limited interference from the government. The legal framework supports free expression and journalist rights. And then on the left, you see the indexes for 2024. They were 72 out of 180. And they had a 63 rated political indicator, a 130 economic indicator, legislative indicator was 74, social indicator 105, and security indicator 13. So it's in the green. Their media environment, so small media market because of the population size. So there's not a lot of reporters and not a lot of different businesses and operations and publication companies since there's not a lot of people there in general to be doing that. The main outlets are these following ones. I'm not going to attempt to say them because I know I'm not going to say them correctly. But they have public radio and private media, but they coexist. So that's actually very influential for both sides. And then social media, like the US, is a source of news for the youth. So they have access to all social medias that we do. There's no censorship there as well. And then this is one of their radio stations, the RTVA, that I found. And so obviously they have some challenges and limitations. So they have a limited number of journalists, which leads to a lack of investigative journalism. They have a high concentration of media ownership, and journalists often perform multiple roles due to the lack of employees in newsroom siders or sizes. So this pretty much means that the people who are running the reports are and doing the journalism are probably taking the pictures and publishing and editing and all of that. So having not a lot of people would help things go slower. But I mean, only having 80,000 people would definitely lead to that being a thing. And then we have Kazakhstan. So Kazakhstan has an authoritarian presidential republic dominated by one party rule for decades. This is the capital in this corner. The population is 20.33 million people, so very different to Andorra. The location is in Central Asia, which is the largest landlocked country in the world, and the government is former president, another name I'm not going to try to say because I'm going to mess it up, and then now president, which is that also name. Um, so pretty much they have the press freedom status. They're ranked very low on global press freedom indexes. They're rated 154 out of 180 countries, being in the bottom half. Journalists face harassment, fines, and imprisonment for criticizing the government and reporting protests. Oh my gosh, there's a huge lizard right there. That is insane. Anyways, government uses laws on extremism and defamation to silence unrest. So it's very easy for them to press charges against journalists. If they just genuinely don't want them around anymore, they can easily say like defamation and get them put in jail, which is actually pretty insane. And they have major broadcasters and print media. They're state owned and closely aligned with the government ideals. So you're not going to have anyone really ever going against what the government wants because they're either going to end up in jail or something's going to happen to them. So we'll get onto that in a second, though. The media environment. So most national TV channels and newspapers are owned and controlled by the government. The independent media outlets exist, but they face constant legal pressure, fines, and shutdowns, so they're not really independent, I guess you could say. Online news is tightly monitored. Websites critical of the government are blocked or restricted. So the second that there's something that goes against what they want, they shut it down. And then foreign media coverage is limited, and critical foreign journalists can be denied access or even deported if they don't like what's being said. Some challenges and limitations are that their strict defamation and extremism laws are frequently used to arrest or fine journalists. That's what we talked about earlier. Censorship of political content and critical reporting is routine, especially during elections or protest. So usually around the time of elections, there's like blackouts and nothing is being allowed to be said negative about political content. And there's lots of also, I didn't put this, but there's also lots of um, fake news that's put out during these times to like boost up these dictators and all stuff like that. Journalists practice self-censorship to avoid retaliation by the state or prosecution, so they'll actually already censor what they're putting out to make sure that it's safe. And there's crackdowns on digital platforms, and independent bloggers have intensified, including internet blackouts during political unrest, which I said previously. For the media environment, most national TV channels and newspapers are owned or controlled by the government. Independent media outlets exist but face constant legal pressure, fines, and shutdowns. I don't know why it says comparing the USA. That's not in the right spot. Sorry. Anyways, online news is tightly monitored. Websites critical of the government are blocked or restricted, and foreign media coverage is limited, and critical foreign journalists can be denied access or deported. Um, this is not in the right spot. Hold on, guys. Let's do this together. Um, why is this down here? Okay, hold on. Let's do this. Since we already went over this, I'm gonna get that out. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. This is so unprofessional, you guys, but this is not in the right spot. And I don't know how that happened. Um, let's go ahead and pull that up. Sorry about that. One second. Okay, let's see. All right, play it back. Let me grab it. Come in. I hope you all are having a good weekend. Okay, back to what we were saying. Sorry. Comparing the US. So the United States protects press freedom under the First Amendment, allowing for an adversarial media system. And Andorra has relatively free media, but on a very similar scale or smaller scale with fewer resources. So they can't really have like a lot of crazy news come out because there's not a lot of them anyways to be releasing that news. Kazakhstan limits press freedom with state control, censorship, and legal repression of journalists. And US journalists may face political pressure, but not government censorship or arrest like Kazakhstan. And what I've learned is that media freedom depends heavily on a country's political system and legal protections. And Adora shows how small democracies can maintain strong press rights even with limited infrastructure. Kazakhstan highlights how authoritarianism systems use laws, surveillance, and fear to silence journalists. And US media operates in a libertarian model where the press is a watchdog and challenges those in power. And then these are my references. There's the five. And yeah, that is my ending. So thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a great time. Bye.